Hello, welcome. So, this is my IG live chat with me and DJ Shortee. We're going to discuss all things art, music, women rocking it out in this industry, mindset tips, and so much more. So, feel free to use the chat during all of this to ask any questions. And I'm going to bring on the guests. I see Shortee's here. All right.
Hey! Woohoo! We did it! Yay! It's so good to see you. Hey, everyone that's watching. Hey, Jasmine. Hey. So excited to be here.
I told you, bubbly, well
Let me
energy,
turn
all
you
of
up.
that.
You're a little low. Hold on. Okay, there we go. I got you loud. Super loud. Okay, cool. Yay! I'm so excited to connect with you on this.
I don't know how
Repeat that. You just
to.
broke up a little bit.
My goodness, how are you
I'm
doing?
doing great. I just came right out of a lesson. I was just teaching someone a private lesson on Zoom, and then just jumped right into here. But everything's going good. Been working hard. How about you? How you been doing?
I have been good. My son is
Yay!
napping right now. So, because I was like, if not, he's going to be climbing like all on my head during the live. So we're good. All right, let's jump right into it because I know everyone's attention span is like 2 minutes. When I say that. So first off, let's just get into like how we connected. So I feel like it's crazy how we connected because like even to me and like the stuff I was posting like about women in hip hop and the industry, um, I was posting stuff and I didn't think anyone actually cared about it. I know my friends did, but I didn't think it was like anything major. And then when you hit me up and you were like, "Oh, I saw your YouTube and I saw this," I'm like, nobody looks at my YouTube. Nobody reading my blog. And you were like, no, I connect with you. Like, it's cool. And I'm just like, I feel like this is like inspiration to anybody that's watching. Like, just keep posting what you're posting. Keep doing what you're doing. Like, if you have something in your heart, just put it out there because it's going to reach the right people and somebody's going to
Exactly.
connect with it. So I just
Yeah,
think
and
that's
I
awesome.
wouldn't take no for an answer either. Full disclosure, I was looking for someone to add to my team to help with some things, and I found Jasmine on Upwork, and so then I was like, "Ooh, she put her." It was a link to your book or something, and then I started going down the rabbit hole, and I found like all her stuff. I found her YouTube, like everything that she just said, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this girl is perfect for what I was looking for, just like complete alignment." And then when I hit her up, she's like, "I'm booked up now. I'm too busy," or something to that effect. And I was like,
Oh,
no. And then I was like, all right, I gotta like woo her. So I wrote back like respectfully. I was like, I totally respect your time and I understand. But if in the future you ever have time, I would love to work with you because this, and this. And I listed off all the things that I, went down, snooping down the rabbit hole about you and everything, and your book and everything, and just your message just fully aligned. And then I just, explained myself a little bit, and I was so overjoyed when you wrote back and you were like, okay, let's work together. I was like, yes. So that's just another like you were saying, example to those who are watching. Don't take no for an answer. Like if I had just said no, we wouldn't have connected. We've been connected now for a year and a half at least, and we've done great things together, and we've just developed a friendship and a beautiful relationship, and a working relationship too. And none of that would have happened if I was like, okay, she said no, move on. Like, don't be annoying. Like,
right,
had you said no the second time, I wouldn't have kept bothering you. But because, I was
right.
like, no, I cannot let this girl go. She's too perfect. And so it's been wonderful. So yeah, don't take no for an answer, at least the first time.
So yeah, let's get into
Mm-hmm.
that message though, because my big thing with Deeper Demeanor was just, women in the hip hop industry, but also in like any industry, because I feel like it trickles
Right.
down into like everything. So it's being like a female DJ. We have like this huge spectrum of women that do what you do. Some are like kind of like the over sexualized like image, like kind of like just a shell of beauty, kind of like a gimmick. Some have like a whole bunch of skill. They're doing that, and I feel like there like a happy medium. What do you think about that? Basically?
Well, my advice to anybody, whether my student or someone's just asking me for advice, I would say do what feels comfortable to you. So whatever feels comfortable to you, do that, and authentic to you. When you start to do things because you think that you're supposed to do them because other people are doing them, or you see on Instagram like their perfect feed and you're like, oh my God, I need to do that, but it doesn't feel right. Maybe you see some sexy DJ and she's doing her thing, she has a lot of followers, and maybe you're more of a tomboy. Don't try to force the square peg in the round hole. I tried to do that for years, just because I came up, I started in 1995, so it's been a long time. It's been almost 30 years I've been doing this, and the scene has evolved so much. But I went through a period where I was DJing for Playboy's 50th anniversary tour, and I'm a tomboy. Like, I didn't even learn to do my makeup until I was 25. And full disclosure, I'm 47 now. So, so doing those shows for Playboy, I just felt like the pressure to be sexy. Even though I was the most closed person in the room, I was not a playmate. I didn't pose in the magazine. They actually wanted to book the Playmate 50th anniversary, the 50th anniversary Playmate for the tour, but then come to find out she wasn't ready DJ-wise to do it, so they had to find someone that had experience, which was me, and that's how I got the gig. But the pressure to be sexy was like strong, and I went through that and I tried it and whatever, but it just didn't feel right to me. So my advice is do what feels best and authentic to you. That said, no judgment either. Like, we're talking female empowerment and, you know, male dominated industries and stuff like that, and a lot of, you know, you feel like you're dressing sexy for the man kind of thing, that thing. But that said, some women don't feel as confident in their own skin unless they're dressing up, unless they're doing their thing, and more power to you. No judgment, even the playmates. Like, if you want to like get naked and that's your thing, as long as you feel okay with being exploited and everything like that. And some women, like women in the porn industry, love it. You know, that's their thing. So I don't want to place what's my thing on other people. That said, if you're asking me, not my thing. Like, even getting in a bathing suit is not my thing. And so I just, when I was trying to lean more sexy, it just didn't feel authentic to me. And also, my audience, and by the way, that tour was in 2004, 2005. So now we're in 2023. So I've had a long evolution since then. And what I realized, especially now on social media, you can see the analytics and everything. My audience as a scratch DJ and a turntablist, as a DJ, it's a male dominated industry, but we have a lot more ladies now in the game than we did before. DJing, but scratching and juggling, that's still very, very, it's a niche market anyway for DJing, but then for women, it's like there's tumbleweeds rolling by. There's very few of us. So what I noticed looking at analytics and stuff like that is 99.9% male. 99.9% male. I think on Instagram, I think I got 97%, 3% ladies. On Instagram. YouTube's like no percent women. I'm like, where are the women on YouTube? And I'm always promoting like female empowerment, but because, you know, my skills and whatever, and the market that I'm in, I attract a lot of dudes. And with that comes a unique situation as a woman, because not feeling respected, or just be like, dudes, even when they want to compliment you, sometimes they mean well, but they're like, you're the best female DJ I've ever seen. that kind of stuff, or they just want to comment on your looks and tell you how beautiful they think you are, or hot, or they'll get a little raunchier with it or whatever, all the way to comparing you and calling you fat, ugly, the most raunchy, terrible things. And for a while I was like, why am I getting all this? And I realized it was all coming from dudes. And then when I saw my analytics, I was like, oh, okay. So I got the gamut of the ones that want to compliment and the ones that are rude, but either way, it's all males. So how do I navigate this as a woman and still be authentic to me and gain respect, because I'm teaching too. So like teaching what men, sometimes have, it's a little weird to learn from a woman and I get challenged a lot in terms of my knowledge and stuff like that, like tested in a way. So what I learned, and I actually learned this from a news reporter, Rachel Maddow. I don't know if anyone watches her. I watch her. I'm very liberal to my politics. But anyway, she's a news reporter on MSNBC, and she is a lesbian. I'm not a lesbian, but she's not a girly girl, is what I'm trying to say. And so she said this thing once where she was like, I just want people to focus on the news. Like me being a woman, I just want people to focus on what I'm saying out of my mouth. I don't want to distract. And so she wears the same suit, jacket, the same little shell shirt, like she might have a navy blue one and a black one. Like she doesn't deviate very much. It's always the same from the neck down. And it's not over sexualized, obviously, at all. And where like you'll look at some newscasters and they look like they're going out to the club that night. Nothing against that, but that wasn't like authentic to her. And I was like, okay, so if I want guys to focus on my skills and not be distracted, I started taking the distractions away. So like now I'm wearing an Adidas jacket, and this is actually more colorful than what I would know. Like I wear the same shirt in every lesson. It's like a blue button-down shirt. You'll see me wearing very similar clothing. I kind of have a uniform where it's like not super sexy. Yes, I wear makeup because like I said before, you got to do what makes you feel confident. So I feel weird naked faced. So I do wear makeup, but my clothing I keep either like tomboy or just like nondescript at all. And then I've noticed that in doing that, I've gained more attention for my skills rather than the way I look, and less comments on that. They'll still comment. They'll still say, oh, you're hot, will you marry me? Or, oh, you're fat, and everything in between. But it's not as much. And then also through that time period, I started using this saying, a tagline. I was saying skill over gimmick. And you mentioned gimmick, like women use their sexuality as a gimmick sometimes. But men use gimmicks too. Such as like there's DJs that throw cakes in people's faces and stage dive, or wear a mask on their head, or have like go-go girls and like they're DJing in a big cube with LED lights every day. All that is gimmicks, right? And so men use them too, and women use them, but women have the added, sexuality that they can use. But I started thinking like, okay, it's skill over gimmick, meaning like I want them to pay attention to the skill. And then that evolved into the skill is the gimmick. Because I realized that I'm attracting people with my skill. So I'm using my skill as my gimmick. And so I use that tagline. That was a very long answer to what you asked, but I was trying to touch on a whole bunch of bases with that. So no judgment for the girls who want to get sexy. And I appreciate the compliments from the guys. However, I know it comes from usually a good place. Even though, like, just tell her that you're her favorite DJ, not just your favorite female DJ. Just a word of advice on that. But other than that, like, just do you is my advice. Whatever is authentic to you. And, don't try to put a square peg in a round hole. And you'll feel a lot more confident when you show up, when you do that. Because people can tell fake. They can see fake. They can feel it, even if they don't really realize that they know it, right? So you want to put off those authentic vibes. So I hope that answered your question.
And it's all together, because you said like the skill is the gimmick, and that honestly is like the answer to the question, because it's like whatever you feel authentic doing, whatever you feel comfortable doing, like not feeling pressure like, oh, she's doing that, I gotta take my clothes off too. Oh, she's doing that, I have to do that, So So I really love that. So another thing, social media and like comparing ourselves and all of that. So let's say somebody is looking at your profile, which looks amazing, by the way. They're looking at your file. Um, they are like all your accomplishments. They're like Googling your name and they're like, oh my gosh, she's done so much. Because you have like, I can't even like list all the people that you work with, like all the things that you've done. They're looking at all of that and they're just like, I wish my life looked like that. You know what I mean? Like people always see like the finish line. They see, you know, the result, and they don't really see what you went through to get there and all of that. So like, what is some advice you can give to them? Like just some practical stuff. Because a lot of people are like, oh, just believe in yourself. And, you know, all of that. But like, what are like some practical things that you do? Because I know that you still feel doubt sometimes. You may still feel,
oh my God,
you know,
yes.
you may still feel insecure sometimes about a lot, even though, you know, you're amazing. So like, what are like some like practical, everyday, simple things that you can give them?
Do the work, because that will bring you all the content, it will bring you all the photos, it'll bring you all the experiences and the accolades and everything like that. If you focus on the work, and the work is your joy, make sure it's something you enjoy doing. But that's what I would say. When you look at my profile, just on Instagram, let's just talk Instagram. I've been doing this since 1995. I started in 1995. There were very few females in the game when I started. So it was very, very hard back then too. And we can talk about that if you want. But the point is, I've had almost 30 years of content building. So when you look on my profile, I have 27 years of photos to pull from. I have 27 years of albums that I've released, or DJ sets that I've done, or scratch routines to pull from, and it's all just work. So when you look at it, when you come to it for the first time and you don't know who I am, you're like, whoa, like she's doing a lot. But what you got to realize is that's, 27 years, 28 years of work that I put in, and it was hard, and doubting yourself for sure. I mean, yes, believe in yourself, but the confidence comes from doing the thing. That's what I always tell my students. So if they're like, oh, so many people come to me to work with me privately or whatever. I teach DJ lessons, in case the people that are watching don't know that. I coach people and teach people how to DJ and scratch and do tricks and stuff. And they'll come to me and I just want to feel more confident on stage. I just want to feel more confident in my skills. And I'm like, oh, well, that's easy. That's an easy fix. All you got to do is do the thing. Because a lot of people think that they have to have the confidence before they do the thing. And what they don't realize is that the confidence comes from doing the work, doing the thing. So the more you, in this sense, scratch or practice your DJ skills or whatever you're doing, if you're a writer like you, Jasmine, the more you write, the more confident you feel at writing, the more you can put words together and come up with more ideas and stuff, and speak. And same with scratching. When you're learning scratching specifically, it's like you're learning these techniques, but it's like you're learning letters when you're first like a baby, and then you start to put them together into words, and then you start being able to put the words into sentences. But when you were a baby, you weren't confident speaking. I mean, maybe you were like gaga goo goo, like confident in that, but it's not like you could, give a speech. Articulate something. And so all that came from when you were growing up and learning how to speak. And that just happened sort of organically. But when people are trying to learn new things, especially as adults, you miss that piece of like, oh, it's a journey and I have to do this thing repeatedly to feel confident. And there's many ways. So as a DJ, you would not just practicing in your studio or whatever at home, but also practicing performing, meaning like getting out in front of people over and over and over again brings you more confidence. I've always been a performer, but I have plenty of doubts, in myself, from everything from being a female, the way I look and what we were talking about before, and how that gets in your head and you feel pressured. And then people are so open with how they want to share their opinions with you online, which just is like, it just feels like more anxiety inducing today, even though I was one of the only females coming up when I started. There wasn't social media back then, so it wasn't like this fishbowl that it is now. And now it's like everyone wants to share their opinions. What were you going to say?
Never say that in person, but they feel like, okay, I'm
Right.
on screen, so I'm gonna just
Exactly. It's that anonymity. Like people just feel like emboldened to say whatever they want. And they don't realize how much even just a little tiny thing could land in an artist's brain and then like turn into a virus and metastasize. And then all of a sudden you haven't made music for a year. Like that's the kind of stuff that happens. And so you have to, one thing that one person said is that, that really stuck with me to deal with negative comments. Is that nobody that is above you or better than you most likely will not say anything hateful or talk down to you. It's the people that are secretly admiring you that are wanting to like take you down a peg so that they feel better about themselves. And I actually just recently posted something on social media, a Leslie Jones comment I heard on her podcast. The podcast is called The Fuckery, FCKRUY or something like that. Look it up. It's great. It's a great podcast. But she said, haters are just confused fans. And that really stuck with me too, because she was talking about like how like they're actually seeing something in you that they want and they're admiring you. In a weird way that really lands like in a damaging way on you if you take it. And so it's like you have to constantly remind yourself, do I know this to be true? Is this like just their opinion? Should I listen? Is their opinion worth listening to? Is this one of my, people that I look up to, that I value their opinion, or my friends and family? If not, then let it go. And that even goes for the good stuff too. So I try to like it's very hard, though. It's so much easier said than done. But I try to treat all comments very similar, whether it's like, I love you so much, or you're terrible, and everything in between. So kind of like equalize it so that it's not as affecting, because your ego can blow up too when everyone's like, oh, you're the best, you're the GOAT, you're the queen, or whatever. But it's like the whole sort of range that you have to deal with as an artist, and it's very and I'm sure you can relate as a writer, it gets in your head and it affects your creativity. Like I could get 100 wonderful comments on an Instagram post, but then get one random hater, and that's the one I'm focusing on, that's the one I'm obsessing on. I'm clinically OCD, so I'm just spinning on it and I can't get it out of my mind, and then I can't work on anything. All of a sudden I'm like, why am I letting and that's exactly what they want, right? So don't engage. That's the other tip I would say. Don't engage. But back to your original question, if you're looking at the profiles like I want that, I would say find the thing that brings you joy in life. Do more of that. And then you will find, like if you're stuck, you don't even know what your passion is, starting from square one. But just lean in on what feels good. And then you will find that thing. And then once you find that thing, just keep doing it. Keep your head down. I try to keep my blinders on, like a horse keeps their blinders on, and just stick to it. And a lot of the stuff you see me posting online, like the mindset stuff and stuff like that, is stuff that I need to hear too. It's either something that I've just recently gone through that I'm like, okay, I need to share this. Other people need to hear this too. Or it's something that I need to hear right then and there. Like I've actually gone back to my own Instagram posts when I'm having a hard time and reading them. Okay, haters are just confused fans.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, maybe that doesn't apply to Hitler, but most of the time, if you're hating on someone, it's coming from a place of inferiority. You're feeling inferior. There's something of lack in that sense. So, so I'm also posting stuff that I need to hear. And just because I've been doing this for as long as I have doesn't mean that stuff goes away. It's a constant thing that you have to just keep working on. It's like a muscle that you keep building. And you get better at it, but it's like we're in Earth School, as I call it, Earth School. We're here to learn, right? So it's a lifelong journey, and as an artist, this is part of my journey, to deal with that kind of stuff and also to inspire others. But the more I get hurt in a situation, the more I can bring to my people and help them so that they don't have to suffer the same pain, or it's a little less, by me sharing what I've gone through. And I feel that's everybody, all walks of life. The more you share your pain, And you look at like these really dire circumstances where like, you know, nowadays with gun violence and school shootings and stuff, and then these parents become advocates against gun violence, and they're using their voice and they're using their pain also to help other parents that are going through it. I mean, this is a really sad example to bring up, but you can apply this in all walks of life, not just social media. But yeah, in terms of if you want to have, first of all, my profile's not curated in terms of like, it's got to look like perfect and pretty. I just post whatever. I tried to do that. It didn't work for me. Just post what you love doing. People will be attracted to that. And keep everything, like pictures, everything. Don't feel like, oh, this picture's from 10 years ago, I can't post it. No, post it. I'll post something. I'll be like, oh, that was my husband would be like, you should post this picture. I'm like, oh, that's from 15 years ago. He's like, you look the same. And I'm like, in your eyes, I look the same. But then I get over myself and I post it, and everyone's like, wow, cool photo, or, you know, or whatever. So don't get hung up on, people aren't thinking about it as much as you are. You're going to overanalyze everything yourself, more than anybody else. You'll also be your own worst critic. You'll build up what people say in your mind and make it worse, you know, sometimes. And that's just part of the human experience. And we just got to keep moving forward and leaning into the joy. Find your tribe. And part of my tribe is right here in front of me on Instagram Live with Jasmine. Like, you got to find those people that you connect with, that you align with, because, you know, we're stronger together. Same with females in industry. This is a female empowerment conversation too. It's the same thing. We're stronger together rather than battling each other. We're not going to get that far at all for our movement and our gender in general.
Right. And so before we get into our very last question, you have been in the industry, like you said since 95.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really long time. And so you've been navigating this for a long time. And so I know it's a lot of women who are like just getting into the industry or just thinking about breaking into the industry. They're working to it. What advice can you give them as far as like how you navigated the industry like back then versus now, and like kind of like a little bit about your journey that you want to share?
Sure. Okay, so I'll start with the journey and then I'll tie it all together. So I started out, I was a drummer. And I was a total band geek in elementary school, high school, college. I played drums, percussion, everything. I played snare drum in the marching band, all that stuff. I was into the Grateful Dead. I was into going to raves, like electronic dance music. I was into hip hop. Remember, this is like early 90s. And then I went to college, and I was in a punk rock band in college playing the drums, and I was going to raves, electronic dance music shows, stuff like that. So I was aware of the DJ, but I didn't respect the DJ as a musician because I came from a traditional music background. So I was like, wicked, that's so easy. Anyone can do that. I play a real instrument. I could read music. I was all snobby about it. And then, and I had even tried mixing, and I mixed my first 2 records right off the bat. So it really just perpetuated the this is easy, takes no skill in my mind. And then one of my friends introduced me to one of his friends, and he invited him over to his house, and he was scratching in his living room, and he invited me over to come watch. And I came over, and it was this guy, the skinny Puerto Rican with dreads to about here. And I was like, ooh, who's that? And I saw him scratching. I had a dread fetish back then, too. So I was like, woo! And he was scratching, and he was doing all these, first of all, I've never seen anyone scratch like that. He was doing all these rhythms, that like Latin rhythms I couldn't even play on my drums. And I was completely drawn to his talent. And he was kind of cute, had the dreads. Then that night, I was playing drums in my punk rock band, and I felt someone watching me the whole time. And then after it was over, I realized it was that guy. And he was watching me. He came up and he's like, oh, you're really good on the drums. I'm like, you're an amazing scratch DJ. How did you learn that? And he's like, well, you know, it's a percussion instrument, same thing, you know, I'll teach you. And it was a great pickup line because that was back in 95. So he moved in with me, and he taught me the basics of mixing, scratching, and beat juggling. But back then, like, not all the like skills were created yet. I mean, they're still creating skills now. So back then it was really limited. So it got to a point where we were learning everything together, and we would start performing together. We toured the world together. We started a record label together. We have over 400 artists on our record label. We produce music together. And this whole journey, and now I teach based on him showing me this craft. Now I share it with other people, I've been teaching since 1997, so I started teaching 2 years after I started DJing, which was actually a blessing because I still had the beginner's mindset. So I would learn something and then teach it right away, which actually made me better as a DJ and a turntablist and an artist, but also I could connect with that person more than, say, someone who's been doing it for 3 decades and never taught as a beginner and can't get back into that mindset. So that was actually a blessing for me. And I've taught the whole time too. I released the first VHS instructional series, comprehensive series on mixing, scratching, beat juggling for DJs. This was back in 1999. VHS, for the youngins watching, is not a DVD. It's like a big fatty cassette tape. And then we went DVD series, and then I released online courses, and I have online courses now. We can talk about that after. But so that's my journey. As a female, though, back then there was like hardly any, and there was no social media. So there were probably more, but I didn't know they existed, right? And there was no way for me unless I was in that city, in that town with them. So I knew of Coco Chanel and I knew of like Spinderella, some female DJs in hip hop, but not very many, and I'd never seen any beat juggle on the level of the dudes, and I had never seen any, no disrespect, but no scratching that was on that level. Granted, later Coco Chanel won battles and stuff, but this is early before I knew of that. And it was also I could count on one hand how many females there were. And so then I was watching this one video and I was learning my skills and feeling really lonely because there were no other women to connect with. And also just, feeling lonely and feeling like I don't see myself. Representation matters, as we all have learned, especially recently. Representation matters. Before Barack Obama became president, we could have had a black president, but it didn't feel possible until we saw him become president. We saw, it is possible, right? And so it's that same kind of thing. When you don't see someone like you doing the thing that you're doing, it makes it a little harder, not as tangible, not as real. And so I was watching this one battle. It was recorded on a VHS tape. It was from the West Coast. I don't even know how I ended up with it, but I was watching it with this girl, Symphony, DJ Symphony. She's one of the original Beat Junkies, which is a DJ crew in Southern California. And I was on the East Coast at the time. And she was battling, she was juggling, and I'd never seen a woman or a girl juggle like that before. And I was like, yes, girls do this too. And that was my vehicle to it was the spark. I was already into it, but then I was seeing someone else like me, so I always give her props, and then I always try to be that person for other people. So even though I'm we all should be equal. She's a good DJ, not just a good female DJ, and what we were talking about before of that sort of compliment that doesn't really feel like a compliment all the time. I do always use female DJ in my marketing and stuff like that because I want it to be known for other females to see that a girl is doing this high technical skill. And especially throughout my career, if I didn't put my face on something, if you didn't see me actually doing it, they would assume it was a guy because of this level of skill. Or if it was a mix and then it's found out that it was a female, she's faking it. It's not, she must have just had some guy do it for her, the scratching or whatever she's faking. I've even been accused of faking it when people are watching me do it. I'm scratching and they think that's just scratching on the record, that I'm just faking it as I go. That's how much society distrusts and assumes that a woman does not have the same level of skill as a guy. A girl, in my experience, always, at least in my male-dominant industry, I've always had to show and prove over and over and over again, where the dudes are just assumed to have skill. So, and women do this too. We all do it. I've caught myself, just assuming a guy has skill and being surprised when I see a badass chick on the decks. Being like, wow, she's really, and I'm like, whoa, Shannon, what are you doing? You're falling into the same thing. It's we're conditioned. The patriarchy has conditioned us to be this way. And so as women who have talent or anything with what you're doing, you feel like you have to work 10 times harder to get a fraction of the amount of respect. But I will say that that's not all bad, because it's made me go push way, not be lazy, right? Push way harder than I ever may have if I didn't have that hurdle to deal with. You know what I mean? So I look at it as a blessing, and it has gotten easier over the years. Like there's been times when I first started, they wouldn't even let me in the club because I didn't look like the DJ. The bouncer wouldn't let me in, and I would have to go around the back and let the bar back, or get the bar back to let me in the club so I could do my set. That stuff like that has happened, but now there's so many more females in the game DJing that it's way more. It's not as, you don't get the same shock value. But there was an asset to that shock value back then, too. It was like, yeah, it comes with, I got to show and prove, and I'm disrespected. But once I can shock them, I got them. And that's that gimmick, you know, so you're using that skill as that shock value. So now it's still difficult, and for all the things that we talked about earlier, but that's just, I just think the female experience, or anyone who identifies as a woman, that's your experience, and it's how we navigate, and these lots of double standards and that kind of stuff. But instead of complaining about it, use it as fuel. And that's what I would advise the ladies coming up. Come correct with skill. If you want to dress sexy, dress sexy if that's authentic to you, but back it up with skill so that you are like you're not sexy. Maybe will get you your first booking, but it won't get you your second booking, like as an artist, as a DJ, right? So you got to back it up with skill so that you can have longevity and respect from your peers in your industry, and that'll get you way farther than however you look. And also, skill is really attractive. One of the things that attracted to my husband, yes, he's handsome, but it was his skill, and he had dreads. There was a dreads, but it was his skill. His skill was like, whoa, you know? So skill is attractive. So ladies coming up, stay authentic, get that armor on. Like I imagine a bubble around me sometimes when I'm out in the world, just like a bubble of protection, and just only let things in your space that is nurturing and that is uplifting to you, and, you know, and keeps you in that positive mindset, because it's very easy to spin out. And just stay with, yes, find your bliss and be yourself and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes it's hard, like, who am I? Like, how do I figure out who myself is? You just lean into what feels good, and the rest should follow. So that's what I would say. Lead with skill, and lead with authenticity. Keep doing your thing. The people that don't like it, they don't matter. Those people, I would rather have 1,000 followers that love my stuff than 100,000 followers who really don't care, right? So you want to find those true fans. There's actually a book or a theory called 1,000 True Fans. Google it, look it up. But it's that idea of it's better to have 1,000 true fans than a whole bunch of people that really don't care. You want to attract your ideal client or your ideal fan. The way to do that is just to keep doing what you love. You're going to attract those people. But if you start doing things that you think you're supposed to do, but doesn't feel authentic to you, you're going to start attracting that instead of, and then you're going to attract people that aren't your true fans, because you're not going to be able to keep that up. You're not going to want to keep that up. And as a matter of fact, I was just watching this interview with Erykah Badu yesterday, and she said this awesome thing about manifesting. So she said, the universe doesn't give you what you ask for, right? The universe gives you what you are. So whatever you keep doing, the thing that you are, and you will attract more. Keep doing whatever you want, and you will attract more of that. And so, like, an example of that would be like if you're trying to attract more money or more success or whatever, but you don't have that yet, dress up like you would be successful, and start playing that role and being that, so you attract more of that. That's kind of how that's just a more general example, but, you know, it made more sense to me when she said that. It was like, yeah, because you can ask the universe and you can be specific, but unless you're stepping into that yourself and showing that you really want that by embodying it as best you can in that moment, you're not going to attract it. And same thing goes with the things you're posting and stuff like that. If you're posting, if I'm looking at Jasmine's feed, I'm like, oh, I want to be just like Jasmine, and I start posting all the stuff that Jasmine's posting, but it's not Shannon or Shortee, right? And so it's not authentic. I'm never going to be as good as Jasmine. Jasmine's Jasmine. She's her own unique, unique self. You know, her uniqueness just oozes out of her. If she tries to be me, it won't feel authentic either, right? So there's only one you. You just got to lean into your joy and just keep doing it. And it's not always easy, but you're not alone.
Yes.
So that's what I would say.
No, so listen, so this is just a plug for you, and it's going into our last question, but can y'all imagine, like, learning how to DJ from her, and then she breaks into, like, some mindset tips like this? It's like, yes, full, it's everything. I got the full package right here.
Yes, we do go on mindset benders. But it's fun. It's fun, and it's so funny because, like, people will come to me for practical skills, right? They're like, I want to learn this scratch, or I want to be a world touring DJ or whatever. But then when we start digging deep, we realize the blocks that are holding them back from their dreams. And that's when we dig into the mindset. If I sell it outright, I'm like, oh, I'm going to help you with your mindset. Like, no one's going to sign up for that. I mean, some people might, but for the most part, you got to sell people what they want and then give them what they need. So through the lessons and whatever, you know, we'll dig up something and we'll then spend a whole lesson just talking about whatever is holding them back and getting them past that mental block. And then all of a sudden they can do all the scratches or all the skills that they couldn't do before. And it was just because their mind was holding them back. It's so powerful, and I'm speaking from experience because I live it. It happens to me too. These people. I'm not like some oracle that has figured it all out. I'm right there with you guys. I'm in the trenches. So, but because I've experienced it, then I can share it too. A lot of coaches are like that. A lot of coaches will teach what they need, also, if that makes sense, or needed in a former life or the earlier in their life or whatever.
Yes, so I see a question on here. This is definitely a question. It's not for me. They were asking, how did you get your samples? Hold on, let me see. How did you get your samples for your bikini wax record?
Oh, scratch samples. Okay, so bikini wax record. Hold on.
Like, let me pull something.
So, yeah, no, I got the record. They're talking about this record. This is a DJ Tools record. Oh, I just hit my phone. A DJ Tools record called Bikini Wax, and it's talk about women's empowerment. This is the first and only DJ Tools record produced by women for women. So, and the tagline is strong enough for a man, made for a woman. So men can use it too, but it's definitely myself and DJ Step One, and we produced this back in 2006. And a DJ Tools record, for those that don't know, is like a you got beats that you can use as a DJ to like beat juggle or scratch over or mix too. But and then you got samples, lots of samples. So you got scratch sounds like the classic or like fresh or whatever. So samples like that, and then also vocal samples. And it's called a battle record because DJs will use, especially back then when it wasn't digital and whatever, we get these records that had all these battle samples on them. They were like really like you suck, or something that you could say with your hands, or like I'm the best, but you're scratching it because you're not on the mic in these DJ battles. You're speaking with your hands, and so DJs are looking for samples to tell the stories that they want to tell. And so a battle record is usually like you're dissing the other person that you're competing against. So all that to say that when we produce Bikini Wax, the scratch samples, like the traditional samples, we got from everywhere, whether it be sound effects like libraries or older battle records. I did get the classic awe sound from an older battle record, and then I enhanced it, made it like really crispy and long. It's my favorite awe sound to scratch. So whenever you see a DJ scratching, that's what I'm talking about. So those samples were, collected that way. But then all the vocal samples, the other thing with this is that we were very focused on female vocals, because as female DJs competing there weren't, but like all the male produced battle records were degrading against women. They would be sexualized. It was just offensive. So there was that. And it was also all male voices. And as a female battling, like I wanted to like scratch a woman saying something to a dude, or because usually you're competing against a dude, you're not usually competing against a woman. So most of the vocal samples on Bikini Wax are all women's vocals, and we sampled them from movies. Lots of Monique is on there, lots of female comedians. I'm drawing a blank right now, but there's so many female comedians on there. And just like you could get lots of great battle samples from sampling comedians, but like movies, even like Ray Romano, we sampled. Everybody Loves Raymond. We sampled from sitcoms. We got them from everywhere. And then, of course, YouTube was around in 2006. It was just coming out, so we could get a couple things from there. But it's not like it is now, where you can get so much more audio from YouTube. But it just came from everywhere. And then we just like went through meticulously through all the samples and then scratched them all to make sure that they were usable. And then, laid out the record like that. So that's how it was produced, and that's how we found a lot of the samples.
That's dope.
And you can still get it. It's limited quantities, but you can get it on my website. We only sell it on vinyl too. But if you want scratch samples like for free, you can download my Scratch DJ Toolkit, and it actually has the same crispy that I was just talking about that's on Bikini Wax. It's the same one. The Scratch DJ Toolkit, just go to scratchdjtoolkit.com, and you can download the Scratch DJ Toolkit for free. It has 9 scratch samples and 11 original beats produced by myself and my husband, DJ Faust. We produce under the name Urban Assault. So you can download that for free, and then you'll also get added to my awesome VIPeeps mailing list, and I send loads of goodies to all my VIPeeps. If you're on my list, you know how awesome you get, like so many fun things, mixes and stuff. But even if you aren't a DJ, download it just for the beats. And then you can also go on my website. If you aren't a DJ, there's loads of DJ mixes that you can download. And stuff like that. And then in terms of courses that I have, if you actually want to learn to DJ, I have, if you go to scratchdjcourses.com, you can find all my latest DJ courses. There's some scratching courses, Intro to Scratching, Faderless Fundamentals. It teaches you like the fundamental scratches that you need to learn before you even bring in the crossfader. That's why they're called faderless. And then there's one called Supreme Stabs, where you're learning how to use the crossfader, and you can learn 110 different stab rhythms. A stab is a scratch technique. And then if you want to learn to match beats by ear, and tune your ears, there's a course for that. Or if you want private lessons, you can get them on there too. I teach private lessons on Zoom, not on IG, but it's very similar to this. I'm in the same space. But yeah, but definitely check out the Scratch DJ Toolkit. That's free, and it's fun beats to listen to. But if you're a DJ, it's great. It gives you lots of tools to work with.
Perfect. You're a professional, because that was my last question anyways.
I knew it was coming.
Talk about, your lessons and anything else that you want to promote, but you already did that because you're a professional. You know this. She's like, I know how.
So, I'm sorry. Go on.
No, I was like, I know how this is ending.
Yeah. I know. And plus, you sent me the questions. Full disclosure, she sent me the questions beforehand, so I knew it was coming. But I will say, everything you can find at my website. So that's djshortee.com, short to the double E, SHORTEE, djshortee.com. Everything's there, all the mixes and the courses and the lessons, and there's plenty of free, like I call them Scratch DJ workouts that I do on YouTube, where I take you through an interactive practice session. You can get a taste of what I give my students, but you can get it for free, and those workouts are like 2 hours long. So as you can see, I'm long-winded. I have a lot to say, and I don't disappoint on those, and we're working the whole time. It's called a workout for a reason, and I think there's 5 of them up there on YouTube, but you can also find them on my website. But there's lots there to dig in, whether you're a DJ or not. So come join the party, or as I call it, the potty, PAWTY, because I'm a total cat woman. I have 3 cats. So you gotta join the scratch potty. This is the scratching post, not potty like toilet potty. P-A-W-T-Y potty. Join the potty and come scratch with me, and yeah, just come be my VIP and join the fun.
Got you. So before we hop off, because it's been almost an hour, it doesn't even feel like it. Is there anything else you want to say to everyone, or just any closing remarks before we hop off?
Yeah, just thank you. Thank you so much, Jasmine. I'll just come full circle. I feel so blessed to have you in my life and as my friend, and I'm so glad that we connected, and the way we connected is so fun and crazy, and that see how far we've gone, and to be on your first podcast or your first IG live coming back into the game because you took a break from doing this. It's such an honor to be your first. So I just want to thank you for allowing me to share your platform with you and to hang with you on this. And just thanks to everyone who came and checked it out, and anyone watching the replay, thank you too. And just keep doing your thing, because the more we're all doing our thing, the more we're all just leaning into our joy, the better place this world will be. So keep doing your thing. Y'all got this. You got this, okay? And I'm right there with you. So, but thank you so much, Jasmine. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for hopping on. Thank you for everyone else that hopped on. And just like she said, we're all doing our thing collectively, making the world a better place. We're rocking it out. So thank you.
Yeah.
And so until next time, so follow DJ Shortee. Follow me if you're not, and we're going to be doing more of these. So
yes, and get her book. If you don't have her book, it's called A Beautiful Corpse, right? Yes, get her book. It's great. It's a digestible therapy session in a way. It's a wonderful, wonderful book. So strong Black female author. She's killing it. So just get her book and follow Jasmine. If you're my followers and you're on this podcast and you're just meeting Jasmine now, she's an amazing human. So definitely follow her as well.
All right, cool. Thank y'all. And so we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye.